Hi, my name is Carmen Francis, and I'm the current chair for the Commission of Youth and Children for Farmington and Farmington Hills. I want to welcome you tonight for our second annual Technical Career Night. First, I just want you guys to, if everyone has one of these, you can see on the back our mission statement, and what our goal is to what we're here to do is to educate the parents and student on Korea Technical Night to let them know what is out there as far as jobs opportunity for our young people. So tonight I'm just going to introduce myself. Before I go, I just want to say thank you to the Issue Group for putting this program together. They have been a very successful team. Those are the people that's at the door that's greeting everyone. They were the one that put this program together. I also want to say thank you to Dr. Gage. He's been an excellent part of our team, so I just want to make sure that I point that out and say thank you, Dr. Gage, for helping us to get to this point. Next, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. I just want to thank any city council members that's here and any members of any liaison board or anything that's here. I just want to say thank you for supporting us and for coming out to our technical night tonight. Now, before we get our guest speaker, of course, we'll have our lovely Dr. Gage, who is going to be our moderator. Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Gage is going to come up and he'll be introducing our speaker.
Thank you so much for being here. That's another thank you that should be extended primarily because we know that there are some events this evening, and we're hoping that you'll be kind enough to stay with us for the entire portion of this evening, because I think you'll be very grateful for some of the things that you'll find out. This is really an especially exciting time in our state and also in the country for career planning, career building, and re-careering, because we're truly witnessing the reindustrialization of Michigan and America, as well as a transformation in all of the career clusters. That's really created a myriad of options for people to pursue careers besides the traditional four-year degree option. This evening, you'll receive the latest information from our keynote speaker regarding the present and future possibilities for these options, as well as how to prepare for them from our outstanding breakout presenters. This information is relevant for individuals in the secondary school stage of preparation because of the excellent resources in our schools locally and also Oakland schools in particular. In addition, the opportunities to earn while you learn are limitless for current college students and persons considering re-careering, and folks who are facing underemployment, and also folks who currently are unemployed but are looking for an option to make life more secure for themselves. The evening's format is to first provide you with an overview of the world of work potential, and then an opportunity to meet with specific experts during our breakout sessions following the keynote address. Your folder identifies each of the 5 areas of expertise that are located in the tables around the periphery of the room. And I want to thank at this point all 5 of our breakout session participants for being here. And we also want to take full advantage of their availability to you as extremely valuable resources. So I can assure you that these people who are here at the breakout tables are truly experts in the topics of information that they have to present to you. The other thing that's so important is I'm a big believer in what I call the ripple effect of community sharing. And that is, perhaps you're not currently interested in an electrical apprenticeship. However, it's very possible that the information you might get from Nick over at the IBEW table will be something that a family member can benefit from, or maybe a neighbor that you can share that information. So you've got here an opportunity to really be admired by people that you know because of how much you do know. So let me suggest to you that you take as much information with you as possible. We're extremely fortunate this evening to have Ms. Lisa Katz, the Executive Director of the Workforce Intelligence Network, to provide our keynote address on the topic of middle skills careers, the promising future. As you have seen from her impressive biography in the folder, we have no more qualified a person to address this topic. And so at this time, I'd like to ask you to please help me to welcome Ms. Lisa Katz as our keynote address.
All right. I see a really mixed audience here tonight, and I just kind of wanted to get a sense from some of you all. How many of you are parents of young people that you're really wanting to make sure they have some good advice about their future? And how many of you are young people who are wondering why your parents wanted you to come here tonight? And how many of you are even adults who are thinking about, how could some of these options be relevant for me? Anybody in that category? A couple people. Yeah. I'm really glad to see the mix of folks who are here in the room. And don't hesitate to ask a question as we go along here. I'm going to share a lot of information, and not afraid to answer questions. I want this to be as valuable for you as it possibly can be. So I'm going to start off by what is the Workforce Intelligence Network. So Workforce Intelligence Network is a partnership of 9 community colleges and 7 Michigan Works agencies in Southeast Michigan. And we were formed because all of us remember what happened in the Great Recession. Maybe some of you younger folks don't, but at the time there was a lot of question about what the jobs were going to be here in Southeast Michigan. And the schools and all of these different organizations were getting resources from the federal government and other places to help put people back to work and reconnect them with the labor market. But people weren't really sure what those jobs were going to look like. Were they going to be green jobs? Were they going to be technical jobs? Were they going to be in IT? Were there going to be automotive jobs? Should everybody go into healthcare? Should people just leave? Lots of questions. And some of our programs were wondering, gosh, should we continue to invest in some of the programs we used to invest in anymore? Should we invest in manufacturing? It was really a difficult time. And so they formed my organization, WIN, to help them answer some of these questions with data. A lot of times the data they were using was kind of old, and it was looking back 2 or 3 years, and we were trying to understand what was happening right now. And so we were formed to look at the data from an employer's perspective, what's happening right now in our economy, which was really a unique way of looking at things in the future. From there, we started talking to employers and trying to make sure that what we saw in the data we were producing was relevant in their eyes. For those of you who know about data, you can sometimes get a skewed view of the world based on the information that you receive. And so it's really good to talk to employers, talk to the source to understand, is what I'm seeing really realistic? Am I interpreting this the right way? So we engage over 100 employers in different groups and talk about the information that we're seeing so that we know, are we really getting an accurate view of what's going on in the world? So what we're going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about some of the things that we're seeing play out in some of this data and show you where we think the jobs are in our economy. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what are some of the trends that are going to affect the way you all should be thinking about your careers or the careers of your young people or your loved ones or your friends or your neighbors. And also, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm not going to try to steal Janine's thunder too much, but my colleague, who's also named Lisa, couldn't be here tonight. She was going to talk about Matt Squared. I want to show Matt Squared, the Michigan Advanced Technology Training Program, Matt Squared. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about next steps for some of you. So again, any point, I know it's late in the day, any point you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. So thinking about Southeast Michigan, that's where we focus our data. How many of you are hoping to get a job in Southeast Michigan? Basically, maybe 30 to 50 miles from where you live right now. Anybody? Anybody? How many of you are thinking, gosh, I really hope I can leave the area. I'd like to go somewhere else. I see a few hands going up. So one of the big things that happened during the recession was this idea that there are no opportunities in our community. I'm going to share another piece of information with you later on. But one of the big things that we were really excited to be able to prove with the data that we were looking at is looking at online job postings. Any given point in time, we see around 350,000 job postings in our community in a 9-county area in Southeast Michigan. And that's not the story that we hear a lot. We hear a lot about there aren't opportunities or it's hard to get into those opportunities. And that perception has really caused people to want to leave. And I think what's really exciting about the information that we can provide is that we can show that those opportunities really do exist here in our community and exactly where they are. These are the big fields where we're seeing a lot of opportunity. Healthcare, advanced manufacturing, and there's a lot of different variety of jobs in advanced manufacturing, and in information technology. We look at these, we look at healthcare because it is our largest employment sector. Now we know it used to be manufacturing, and healthcare is surpassed, obviously, with the decline in manufacturing and the rise in healthcare. For all of you, the adults should plug their ears. For your younger people, your parents are getting old. And that means that that means they're going to need more and more health care. I don't like to hear it either because my kids are always calling me old. They saw somebody on TV, they're like, man, he looks like he's 40 years old. And I'm like, oh, yeah, 40. Anyway, but it's true. We're consuming more and more health care. The demands are going up. Technology is shifting in health care. That means growing jobs in that field. A lot of them in healthcare IT, but you can see, I mean, shows that some of you, the podium's right in the way, so I'll just read it. In 2014, right in Detroit, 8,849 job postings. One of the interesting factoids in healthcare, even though it's growing because people are getting older, so are those workers. Over 40% of healthcare workers right now are aged 45 to 64. What does that mean? They're gonna retire, and soon. And that means there's going to be a lot more jobs. If you imagine demand is going up and those workers themselves are getting older. So a lot of opportunity in that field. Advanced manufacturing, so top GDP contributor. Some of you are saying, what the heck is that? Well, that means that manufacturing jobs produce a lot of wealth for our community. So even though we know they took a hit, dollar for dollar, they generate a lot of other jobs in our community. There are a lot of things that spin off from manufacturing jobs. And for the inputs that go into them, they produce a lot of return to the community in terms of economic growth. So when we talk about GDP, gross domestic product, or gross regional product, we're really talking about the wealth that is generated from that industry. So we really continue to track advanced manufacturing. And I think these are just City of Detroit data, because I know these numbers look kind of low, but 5,026 job postings in 2014. 42.5% of advanced manufacturing workers aged 45 to 64. If you look at 55 plus, it's 19.6% of all workers. Again, another field where you're talking about design, whether you're talking about machining, whether you're talking about welding, a lot of different things that go into manufacturing, highly diverse. Oh, and I'll tell you what, all the computer stuff that's getting embedded and aligned with advanced manufacturing these days. There's a lot of diversity there in that field, and again, the workers are maturing and they're starting to think about what's next, and that's creating huge opportunities. And I have a story. I was telling Janine about a story. This is going to drive some of you kids crazy when you hear it, and your parents too. But my nephew, he was a sophomore at Oakland University. This is his last week. He's actually taking his last 2 exams. First generation college goer on his side, from his parents' side of the family. He was in career and tech ed in high school, and he was in CNC machining in high school. And he decided, well, I could stay. This company offered him a job, and he said, I could stay, but he really, really wanted to go to college. He really wanted to get that 4-year degree, to be the first one in his family to get that 4-year degree. So he went to Oakland University. He got his Pell Grants and everything. So he didn't pay anything out of pocket to go to school. It was a really good deal. And the first year, he went back home to the job that he had while he was in high school, and they said, we will give you $50,000 a year if you stay. And he was tempted. And he said, wow, that's really great, but I really, really, really want to be the first person in my family to get my 4-year degree. I think I'll have greater opportunity. So year goes by. In the summer, he works there. He comes back at the Christmas break, and he works there. He got a call. He was looking for a summer job this year. He got a call from the company saying, we will give you $65,000 a year if you come and work for us. And he's like, wow, that's interesting. And then they said, and we have some retirements coming. That opens up a supervisor position in 6 months. We will pay you $85,000 to $90,000 a year to come work for us. We want you to finish your 4-year degree, and we will pay for that too. So he left. And he went back to he went back to Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's going to work in CNC, and he's getting his 4-year degree. He's going to continue, so he says. But the moral of the story that I want to say, first of all, again, lots of opportunity advanced manufacturing, kind of painting that picture for you, but also the idea that he was in career and tech ed. I don't know how many of you kids, or I would say kids, you young people, are thinking about career and tech, or your parents are thinking about career and tech ed. I know that it's a tough decision because a lot of times people say, well, does that mean that they'll go to college? And everybody wants kids to go to college, and I think it's a great goal. But some people think if you make that decision, you're not going to be going to college. And I say to that, it doesn't mean that you're not going to college. It could actually help you pay for college, which is what my nephew was doing. He was earning all that money in the summer and earning all that money during the breaks. But it also could create a different pathway for you, so that maybe you work while you get that education while you're in school. Go get your post-secondary education, and maybe you go back and forth a little bit. Maybe it takes you longer to get your 4-year degree or your 2-year degree, but you're getting that work and that experience as you're going along the way. Those are all valuable and valid ways to think about the relationship between careers and education. And for my nephew, it's really going to pay off, I think. I mean, I don't know that there are many people in this room who will make that kind of money. Maybe so, but it's a really good deal. Information technology, fastest growing employment sector. So some of you have read the newspapers. Some of you see this all the time. Detroit, Michigan, big Detroit metro area. If you think about Washtenaw County, think about Oakland County, think about the city of Detroit itself. Seriously, it's one of the hottest growing IT hubs in the country. And people hear that and they say, is that real? And the reality is yes. Over a 5-year period, we were growing IT jobs faster than Silicon Valley, faster than Austin, faster than Boston, faster than Washington, D.C., some of the biggest IT hubs in the country. Why? Anybody want to hazard a guess? Dan Gilbert, that's a good example. I was going to ask you, has anybody bought a new car lately? We went to dinner yesterday. Well, when was it? Was yesterday Sunday? Yesterday. Maybe it was Saturday. Saturday we went to dinner and tootling around downtown Rochester. And my husband hits a button. My car starts beeping, tells us to pull forward. And all of a sudden it says, parking spot found. And we let go of the buttons, let go of the steering wheel. My husband hits another button, and all of a sudden the steering wheel starts turning, and the car backs up in a perfect parallel parking position right in the middle of the road, hands-free. That is just the tip of the iceberg of what we're talking about when it comes to connected vehicles. Think about all of the computing technology that has to go into a car just to do that. And we're talking about cars, in addition to that, that are going to be avoiding crashes with one another, that are going to be programmed so that they're going, avoiding red lights. Yes. Thinking about vehicles that are just much more efficient, connected to all these different things. Think about the entertainment systems in your vehicles, being able to have your Bluetooth phone connected to it, going on and on and on. Not all my cars have those, so I'm struggling a little bit, but that's the future of the automotive industry. It's also the future of manufacturing products. When you think about it, this sounds kind of crazy, but there will be refrigerators that will tell you your milk is going bad. And that refrigerator will send a message to your grocery store. It says, hey, their milk went bad. And then the grocery store will send a drone to the house and say, there's your milk. Maybe not that's, Amazon's talking about the drones, but it's not so far-fetched. It will definitely tell you your milk's going bad and can send the message to the store. How about your toothbrush? Hey, you missed a spot. Hey, it's been too long since your last checkup, whatever it is. Those are all examples of connected products. Right now, only 1% of all products that could be connected are. And we know that the pace of technology is accelerating. It is not slowing down. We're going to only have more and more information technology embedded into our products. And right here in Southeast Michigan, we are a major test case and first responder to discovering how that technology will get embedded into our products. So information technology is fastly growing here. Again, City of Detroit, 12,000. I know it's 12,000 because there actually were 70,000 job postings last year in a broader area that we cover in IT. And we have, yes, the 15% Metro Detroit grew by 15% technology industry jobs faster than anywhere in the country in 2010. That's kind of an old factoid, but. So these are the reasons why we track these industries. This is gonna be really hard for you to see. So I talked about all this opportunity. Oh, tip of the iceberg for you all. You don't have to see the detail in the slide, and again, I know the podium is in the way for a lot of you, but what you need to see, even if you can only see, let's see if I can get out of the way, even if you can only see the two little bars next to each other, that one and that one, or that one and that one, you'll see there's a really big bar next to an itty-bitty bar. That's the most important thing you have to pay attention to. And what the really big bar is showing you is the number of job postings. Remember I said that data was not, it was just the City of Detroit, because these are the real postings. Healthcare, 2013 to 2014, in the 9-county area that we cover, 108,000 postings in healthcare. In IT, it was 86,000. I was off, 70,000. That was a different year, so I said 70, it's actually 86,000. Engineers and designers, 52,000 postings. Skilled trades and technicians, again, your welders, your CNC machine operators, all those different fields, 35,000 jobs posted. That's a lot of opportunity. Well, what is the little bar? The little bar is the number of people who are graduating with any kind of credential in that field, whether it's a certificate, an associate's degree, master's degree, PhD, bachelor's degree. What can you see? I hope you can see the IT, but I have 86,000 job postings compared to, and I can barely see the data because it's so small, but I want to say maybe 5,500 degree completions, credentials of any kind in 1 year. That is a really big gap. In healthcare, 108,000 postings, and the number of degrees awarded is roughly a third of that size. In manufacturing, again, the different areas, but again, you're looking at maybe a quarter to a third of the people who are going into that field compared to demand. These fields are hot. They are hot all over the place. There's a lot of demand in those areas, but again, there's lots of diversity. And so you really have to figure out where in that field do I want to hang my hat? Where's my opportunity in that field, and what's going to be the best return on investment for me? So here's a big question. If I'm talking to myself, I'm thinking about my own career as an adult. If if I'm talking to my loved ones, if I'm talking to my kids, where do I want to hang my hat? Well, we know that if you look at those fields, we look at them as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. They're STEM fields. We've probably heard STEM before, maybe not. In our field, we call them STEM jobs. On average, 44.2% of all Southeast Michigan job ads require some kind of STEM education. That puts us 14th in the nation. Again, not surprising given our roots. 36.4% of those jobs require a bachelor's degree. So that means that there's some 60 some odd percent that don't, right? That don't require a bachelor's degree. 7.7% of postings require STEM and less than a bachelor's degree, and it goes on and on. The trick for employers here is that on average, if you have some college, again, not necessarily a bachelor's degree, and you have STEM experience, employers are waiting as many as 48 days right now, before they can fill that position. 48 days, that is a really long time to have a job opening without being able to fill it because you can't find the workers that you need. Those jobs are actually harder to fill, STEM jobs, with less than a bachelor's degree than they are to fill those with a bachelor's degree. It's not by much. I mean, the bachelor's degree, they're waiting 46 days. But with some college, you're waiting 48 days. High school or less, 43.9 days. But the bottom line is there's a lot more demand. There's more pent-up demand in those fields than there are in non-STEM opportunities. But in general, employers are having a tough time finding those workers that they need. Whoops. So here's my recap of what I've just said. Demand is between 3.1 to 16.9 times higher than the number of new graduates each year in those occupations that I highlighted: healthcare, advanced manufacturing, and IT. Metro Detroit has the second highest rate of disconnected youth in the country, with more than 17% of youth not in school or working. And we also have, regionally, we have the third highest youth unemployment, which is kind of shocking, which means that our young people are not getting experience. They're not getting those summer jobs that they need so they get experience to get into those fields. And by 2020, the retiree population expected to increase by 23.8%, leaving those positions vacant. So a lot of opportunity and a gap. If I'm a parent or even an adult and I'm thinking about what do I do, number one thing is get that experience no matter what it takes, even if it's working on projects in your basement, get that experience because that's going to be a differentiator between you and somebody else. So middle skills. All of those jobs have middle skill jobs woven into them. For us, we define that as jobs that require more than high school but less than a bachelor's degree. I was really kind of dangling a bit on those jobs that required some post-secondary education but not necessarily a bachelor's degree. We say that jobs that fit that bill and pay greater than $15 an hour are what we call middle skill jobs. And we put that $15 an hour filter in our data because we know that that's about the point where people can start making a living. It's a relatively livable wage at that stage. Why do we focus on middle skills? Because middle skills doesn't necessarily mean you're like only average or you're in the middle of everybody else that's out there. It's a pathway. You're in the middle of moving on to a lot of different opportunities. So it could be that you're an engineer technician, and that's a pathway to an engineer. It could lead you somewhere else. It could help you grow in a career path somewhere else. It could be that you're not necessarily a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing candidate, but you're on the track. We consider these positions ones that are jumping off points that at some point in your career you would have a pathway that could take you, advance you down the road and move you into a higher level position with greater pay down the road. In middle skills, we again bring up that point of economic success. Jobs that pay $10 an hour, if you go from $10 an hour to $15 per hour, you're going to increase your wages per year by about $20,000. And so we'd like to, there is a big difference here. That's why we focus on that higher end level. And if you move from $20,000 to $31,000, that $10 difference, moving from $20 to $20 an hour increases your wages to $41,000. So those are all kind of middle wage levels, and those are all, those are pretty decent salaries for somebody who's not necessarily has a bachelor's degree, and those are the jobs that we're going to be focusing on. So where are the greatest opportunities in middle skills in Southeast Michigan? One thing that's really important to note for all of you kids are like, man, I really wish I could be done with school. One thing that's really, really important to know is that as much as I'm emphasizing the opportunity in those STEM fields that I talked about, and I keep talking about post-secondary attainment, you need to know that for jobs that have high school diploma or less, those are going away. I know we hear it all the time that you need to get some kind of college education, and that's really true. Those jobs have been shrinking. There will be negative growth in jobs that do not require any post-secondary training in Southeast Michigan. Jobs for workers with a high school education or less are disappearing. Compare that to those middle skill occupations, $15 an hour, not necessarily a bachelor's degree. Middle skill jobs will be 37% of all jobs or job growth in the region in the next 5 years. They're going to represent over 7,600 new jobs coming into the future. And just to reiterate that post-secondary training is a must. And here, this data is just showing you the breakdown that down here, middle skill jobs compared to those with a bachelor's degree, they're roughly split in the next 5 years. But you definitely see on top, the smaller bar is representing those jobs that require only high school or less. So what are the fastest growing middle skill jobs? I mentioned those fields, always look in those fields. But in general, we're seeing a lot of the greatest opportunity, greatest growth and demand are in those healthcare areas. So chemical technicians, medical and clinical lab technicians, cardiovascular, physical therapists, diagnostic, paralegals, even veterinary. These are all associate degree levels that have what we're predicting is the fastest growth in the next few years. In high pay, everything that I mentioned there, vet techs was the lowest at $15 an hour. Everything else is $23, $28, $25, pretty good wages. In your $30,000 to $40,000 range for some of those jobs. For those with a post-secondary certificate, where you're not necessarily even getting a full associate's degree, looking at licensed practical and licensed vocational nurses, emergency medical technicians, and surgical technologists. Those are some of the fastest growing middle skill jobs there. And again, those are all ranging between $15 an hour and $22 an hour. This is gonna be hard to see, but at the top posting middle skill jobs that don't have talent pipeline to fill the positions, you'll see right at the top, if you're looking for an opportunity right now, heavy trailer and tractor driving, it's really, really hard field, but they're also really struggling to find people, and they pay reasonably well. And that's the first one on the list. You'll see, you can't see the colors very well, but there's just a very narrow shade. I mean, there's a lot of demand on either side and a very narrow bar of people are actually moving into those occupations. But next on the list, computer user support specialists, medical records and health information technology, web developers, and then clinical lab, et cetera. So the difference between this list and the one that I just read to you is that these are the ones that are really looking not just that they're growing fast, but there's a significant talent gap associated with them. The other ones that I talked about before in all those healthcare fields were really looking at just high demand, but there could be a lot of people who are kind of already in that space that make them a little bit tougher to get into. So I just want to reiterate, I mentioned the 350,000 job openings. This is really key, no matter what you do, no matter what, whether you're looking at a bachelor's degree, whether you're looking at less than a bachelor's degree, you need to get experience. When we look at job postings, only 11% in any industry for any position are looking for candidates with less than 2 years of experience. And of those requesting a 4-year degree or higher, only 3% are searching for candidates with less than 2 years of experience. The story here, if you're going into your bachelor's degree, if you want to go to your 4-year school and you don't do those summer jobs and you don't do those Christmas jobs, you're going to have a harder time finding work than if you just walked out and gotten a job at a high school. You really have to have experience these days. And so that's why I reiterate, no matter what, just always keep working, keep volunteering, do those projects, build your resume no matter what. School is definitely important, but employers are scrambling for experience. And we keep asking the question, how does one gain 3 to 5 years of experience when every job requires 3 to 5 years of experience? You have to be creative. You have to be creative in trying to find that opportunity, be persistent. That's how you're going to get your foot in the door. Some solutions, I'm not going to belabor that slide. We're basically through when we're looking at a lot of different ways to work with employers and bring them into schools. So kids are getting mentoring and job shadowing, internships, apprenticeships, summer jobs, you name it. Lots of different opportunities we're trying to work to bring them into the schools. Another opportunity is Math Squared and other apprenticeships. There are a lot of other opportunities that folks can talk about when it comes to apprenticeship. Math Squared, it's an apprenticeship program. It's a partnership with employers. Right now, the employers are helping to pay for community college tuition, and they also pay the workers while they're in school. And then they hire them, and you get paid after school, after you're done with the education program. And there's some detail in the slides up here. But some of the fields that Math Squared is available in Southeast Michigan include mechatronics, which is that combination of mechanical and electrical engineering. It's things that are moving, from what I can tell from my layman's point of view. But the average median salary there is $51,000, almost $52,000 a year. Technical product design, designing the products using computers. It's that integration of manufacturing and IT we talked about. Almost $51,000. IT itself, almost $78,000 per year, some of these average starting positions. CNC, it's a computer numeric control machinist. This was what my nephew is doing. They say it starts at $39,000, but he got a really good deal. So lots of opportunities that are all being offered in apprenticeship programs. They'll pay your community college and pay you while you go to school here in Southeast Michigan. Oops, these are some of the schools that are offering that. Oakland Community College, Henry Ford, Macomb, Mott, up further north from here. In our area, several of the colleges are offering this program. Henry Ford is also on the list. And this is kind of what it looks like. You start in your 13th year, so you graduate from high school. And in year 1, you're going to go to school for several periods of time, and then you'll work for a while. And you'll go to school some more, and then you'll work. And gradually, as you go across years 2 and year 3, the amount of time that you're going through a traditional classroom experience goes down, and the amount that you're working goes up. And you're getting paid. Every year, your salary increases as your experience level and your education level improves. So that by year 4 or 5, you're actually working full-time for your employer. The work periods are about 8 weeks, and then you work for, 8 weeks, is that right? So it's a kind of a back and forth. And I mentioned the tuition is paid for. The student is hired by the employer. On-the-job training is provided. You receive a $200 stipend per week during school sessions. Your curriculum is focused on performance, so you have to be able to demonstrate the skills that you learned. It's not just that you spend the time in the seat. You have to show that you know the knowledge before you can move on. You earn your registered apprenticeship and your community college degree. So I'm not going to go into any more detail on this because there are flyers over here. Janine has information, and there are lots of opportunities like Math Squared. It's not the only apprenticeship game in town. I know IBEW has apprenticeships. A lot of other employers have these types of opportunities, but they're a really great deal. They're a really great opportunity for young people. And again, I said every single one of these ended in an associate's degree, but a lot of them can articulate, a lot of the credits can articulate into a 4-year program. Think of it as a journey. Think of it as a pathway that never ends. I know that sounds really daunting when you're still in school, but it's really it. I mean, education should be a lifelong experience, and the adults here who are in the room as well can tell you that. That's how they're approaching it. So moving forward. So I'm going to let Larry take the stage again and tell you how you can go to the different sessions and learn about some of the different programs that are up here. I think that if I were going to have my kids, and I practice what I preach because I do have kids, and I do tell them this. If I would have them build one skill that I thought would help them have multiple career paths from a technical standpoint, I would tell them focus on something in IT. Because it is embedded in every industry, whether you're talking about finance, healthcare. I mentioned the healthcare information technology, electronic medical records. There are occupations that might even be called data nurses at some point. Even the home health aide that's going out in the field is going to be using the digital device to help make diagnostic decisions, to decide if they need to call in help for a patient, to keep track of that patient's care. I mentioned even the machining is computer numeric control machining. There's an IT element there. Cybersecurity, oh my gosh, if you're going to go into IT, start thinking about cybersecurity, because everything that I just talked about, your healthcare information, your connected vehicle, all of that will fail if we don't figure out the cyber side, which means that every company right now is clamoring to figure out cybersecurity. The state of Michigan actually has something called the Cyber Corps. And what this is, the adults will remember the movie Top Gun. I don't know how many kids have watched it, but you remember the fighter pilots, the elite, the best of the best. Well, that's what the Cyber Corps is. It is the best of the best of computer programmers. And 85% of the people, of the top programmers who go into this program actually fail. And what it is a group that is counter-hacking, or their goal is to figure out how to hack things so they can figure out how to make them hack-proof. And that's all stuff that's being developed here in Southeast Michigan. So if I had to pick one, I would say IT, because again, it transcends all the other fields. And if I had to pick a field within IT, I'd focus on security. As these shortages, as these older workers retire, employers are going to be forced to have to reintroduce these programs where they're helping people get their advanced degrees if they want to have those people who are working for them, because that's going to be the way that they attract and retain that workforce. Well, I just want to add one last thing. There are a lot of other occupations that aren't those things that are on the list that are here in Southeast Michigan, and the focus on this, as far as I understood tonight, was on technical. So we do have information on other types of jobs that are out there. I just didn't bring that information with me today. So if you have other questions about that, feel free to Google Workforce Intelligence Network. You can find me on there. You can find our website, and I can get you more information. 350,000 jobs in Southeast Michigan. That's a lot of opportunity. It's a great reason to stay here. There's going to be M1 Rail in Detroit. There are going to be all kinds of new entertainment opportunities. We are coming back. And so I do urge you all, as young people and as adults who are working with young people, stay here. Don't leave. It's worth staying. Plus, we've got water. California can't say that. So, so thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentations.
And speaking of California's absence of water, I want to also acknowledge Mr. Jim Nash, who is our water commissioner. Somewhere, there's Jim back there. And in addition, I've emphasized several times the importance of the opportunities available in our school system for vocational career preparation. And we're very pleased that our current superintendent of instruction, George Heisch, is here in the audience. George, would you wave? There, back there. Thank you. And an excellent question was asked here that Lisa touched on, but it caused me to want to emphasize something that's always been a concern for me when we get into these kinds of discussions, and that fact is we have embedded in our culture an assumption that the only pathway to a career start is a straight 4-year step-by-step procedure to get a bachelor's degree. The world of work has changed, and we are now talking, and it's critical to think in terms of a career ladder. And the other thing that is so critical about what we're talking about today is all of you out there know that there are tremendously bright persons who are hands-on learners. They're individuals who are motivated and get excited about learning by doing, and one of the obstacles they face if they go on and feel they're locked into the four-year degree path is before they get a chance to start learning what they're interested in doing, the front load of the first year or two of every career or every degree program is going to require them to do the least of what they truly enjoy doing. The beauty of some of these programs we're talking about is if you have enough preparation, you start learning and earning what you like doing most. And that's a success experience that enables you to eventually get what you should do, and that is a general education, to be a well-educated person. But there are 3+2 programs where you get the technical training and in 2 years get an associate degree. Those associate degrees then fold into bachelor's degree programs, the 3+2s. Those result in technical master's degree programs, and I can assure you, successful students are the coin of the realm for universities because you're keepers. I mentioned to someone earlier, and I'm sorry, I get some buttons pushed here, but I'm going to conclude right now. I mentioned to someone earlier that the statistic has not changed much in about 30 or 40 years, and that is that this September, 45% of the starting freshmen at four-year universities aren't going to be there in 2 years. And that attrition is due not because the institutions are not doing their jobs or are those folks, for various reasons, were not ready, or financially they weren't capable. And you all know that last June's college graduates in America had an average debt load of $34,000 when they graduated with their bachelor's degree. And you've heard about programs, and you'll learn more about them, where instead of paying them, they'll pay you to learn. So, if I haven't gotten you excited about the rest of this evening, I can't figure out what else we can do for you. But I just want you to know that the options are tremendous, and it's so exciting at this time to be at those stages of career decision making because people want you, and you have incredible opportunities. We're now going to phase into the opportunity for you to talk to some of the other experts. You've heard Lisa Katz give you a good perspective on where the opportunities are, and our various breakout presenters are now going to give you specific details. For example, Mr. Ben Morin at table number 2, and I'm going to ask him to come up for just a few minutes so that our cable television director has the opportunity to identify him for you. And would you bring your name card, please, Ben? And then the other presenters are going to do, for 2 or 3 minutes, give you just a little sampling of what you'll be able to learn in a 10 or 15 minute segment at each of their stations.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gage. Good evening. My name is Ben Morin. I'm a consultant in career-focused education with Oakland Schools. So we operate 4 technical campuses across Oakland County, and really our goal is real-world application of technical, academic, and career-ready practices. great statistic that Dr. Gage mentioned, 45% of students their second year at a college, a post-secondary institution, will not return. So our goal really is to get students experience while still in high school. So we're really catering to 11th and 12th grade students. We operate 9 career clusters and have 16 different career technical education programs. The focus of our programming, once again, is to mix theory with practice through applied hands-on learning and work-based opportunities. So actually out in an actual job, usually by your second year is the goal for our students in that. So to find out more, we can always visit ostconline.com, ostconline.com, or you can also call Oakland Schools at 248-209-2000 and ask for career focused education. Once again, thanks to the commission for organizing this night, to have the opportunity for each of us to share some valuable opportunities.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Williams. I'm the Career and Technical Education Coordinator for Farmington Public Schools. I hope you'll come and visit me over at table number 5 in the back. Farmington Public Schools has the largest number of career and technical ed programs in the county. I work a lot with Ben, and we're very proud to boast that we have 31 programs among our 3 high schools. So I hope you'll come back and learn about the 11 different options that we have that are available at each of our high schools, and we can help you save money. You can earn articulated credit to colleges in the area, so please come and learn about what we have to offer. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Janine Ernie. I am the Director of Technical Programs and Apprenticeship at Oakland Community College, so if there's anything you want to know specifically about the world of registered apprenticeship, you can ask me when I'm over at table 1. But specifically, I was asked to talk about the MAT Squared program, which is the Michigan Advanced Technician Training. That's the 2 T's squared. And that falls under my direction. It's part of what I do. I manage it. Oakland has 3 of the programs, and anything you want to know about MAT Squared, you can ask me. I actually, back in 2013, got the first phone call. So, actually, I think it was 2011. Anyway, the website for MAT Squared, if you're interested, is easy to remember. It's MI for Michigan, mitalent.org, and then /MAT, M-A-T, and the number 2. So I'll be over at table 1.
Good evening. I'm Nick Chapatel from the IBEW, that's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I come tonight to talk about electrical construction apprenticeships, as well as I'm here also representing 14 other affiliates that we have of skilled craftsmen and apprenticeships. It is an Earn As You Learn program, and our website is www.detroitEITC.org, and I will be at table 4. Thank you.
So now if you would take advantage of the opportunity and just start with one of the tables that is of most interest to you. Thank you so much.